Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. I'm Tash and I'm recording from the southern suburbs of Sydney, Australia. It's Thursday the 9th of February 2023 and I've got an episode with no finished objects today, but I do have 4 works in progress, 2 from last week and 2 new ones. I will talk a little bit about the math for doing the increases on one of my projects and also a little bit about trying things on as you go to make sure that you get the fit right and you're happy with length and everything. I've got just a couple of little purchases and a tiny bit of sewing, a faux from the vault which I'm wearing, and then right at the end just a little bit about what's been happening in my week. So we'll get started. Finished objects, I have none, but I have made a lot of progress and I also have 2 new whips. So the first project that I wanted to show you is my Ilha, which is normally a sweater, but I'm turning into a dress. And I'm really happy with how it's coming. I think this is just perfect yarn for this project. I'm really, really loving it. I think I've got about 14 inches from under the arms, which means I've got about 9 inches to go. One of the things that I thought I'd show you is when I try things on, I don't have any of that try it on tubing, or I don't put it on waste yarn or anything. I just get another set of needles with a long cable with the same size tip, and I knit half of it. So from the side, how about the clanging? I knit half of it. You can see there's 4 needles hanging off that because I've knit half around. Stop that clanging. I've knit half around with the other needle so that it's wide enough for me to try on and make sure I'm happy with it. And I'd also would block it mid-project this way so that I can sort of see how it's going to finish up, see how the length is. And I especially do that when I think I'm, getting close to the end so that I don't overshoot it and go too far. One thing I thought, there's a couple of things that I wanted to show you, and let me just hold the needle so they're not clanging. I wanted to show you, and I don't know if you can see that. Can you see the top bit there? And then, I don't know if you can see under that. Can you see like what looks like a line right around here? And here the stitches at the top, above the line, the stitches look quite smooth. And below the line, the stitches look quite crumply and messy. Anyway, so above the line, that's where I blocked it last. And below the line obviously hasn't been blocked. And it's a single ply. So for me, it's a really clear example of just how much better your knitting looks when it's been blocked. And I think people sometimes look at your finished object, and if they haven't blocked their own work, they think, oh, you're an amazing knitter. Your stitches are so neat and so even. But if they see the knitting on the needles, it doesn't necessarily look that amazing. But once you've blocked it and everything's all evened out and, and sitting nicely, what I'll do is I'll take a photo and I'll pop it up here. Then that way you can sort of see it more clearly, the difference between blocking, what's been blocked and what hasn't been blocked. Anyway, blocking is a miracle. And yeah, I think it's really handy if it's on 2 needles because then you can really spread things out and let it dry well and fully, properly grow the way it naturally would. And then you can have a better assessment of how much you need to do before you're finished. The other thing that I said I would do was talk a little bit about the math on the increases. So for mine, I'll put up here just the math itself, but I knew that I needed to increase from a bust of 33 inches to about 44 inches. So I needed 11 inches of increases. I was getting about 6 stitches per inch, so I knew I needed to increase 66 stitches. Now 66 isn't a multiple of 4, and normally I do my increases along the sides, and actually I'll just grab it back. I'm doing the increases on either side of this cable, and I do them in sets of 4, so 1 on either side this side and 1 on either side there. So I just rounded it up to 68, and 68 divided by 4 is 17, and so I knew I needed 17 increases. Then I wanted to work out how many rows did I have to make those increases over. When I do my increases for an A-line shape, because this pattern is for a jumper, so I'm doing everything completely different. I'm just doing it the way I'd like it to go down my body, and I don't want it fitted around my hips at all. So, and 44 inches gives me about sort of 8 inches of maybe 8 or 9 inches of ease around my hips. So that's plenty. I can move and it doesn't feel like it's snug on me. So I've got 17 increases to do, and then for the first 3 inches under the arms, I don't usually do any increases there. I just go straight down, and then I start increasing, and I think I wanted 23 inches. So, and I wouldn't want to increase on the last couple of inches. So 23 minus 3 at the top and 2 at the bottom is 18. So I've got 18 inches to play with. Then I looked at my row gauge, how many rows is that? And for me, when I did my swatch, I think what I had blocked was only about 3 inches long, and that was 25 rows. So if 25 rows over 3 inches, 18 inches is 6 lots of 25, 6 lots of 3 inches. 3 inches times 6 is 18 inches. So if it's 25 rows for 3 inches, 25 times 6 is 150 rows. So I had 150 rows with which to do 17 increases. 150 divided by 17 is about 8.8. So that means I needed to increase, round it up, every 9th row roughly. So I'd do 8 rows, then 9th row increase, 8 rows, 9th row increase. And that's how I spaced out my, all of my increases. But still, I just tried it on then just to make sure, I'm not gonna knit the whole 21, 22 inches and start the ribbing without having knit it along the way, or like checked it along the way, and making sure I'm happy with the fit. So I just tried it on, so it's sort of just sitting around my hips, high hip now, and it's, it's already got clearance, so I'm really happy with that, and I'll just continue on with a few more increases, and I'm hoping to have that done for next week. Although I'm sort of spreading myself a little bit thin, so I'm fingers crossed, I might end up just, focusing a bit more on that to make sure I get it done. My second, and the yarn I'm using for that is the Woolen Rabbit Airy in the colorway Myrtle. My second work in progress is a sock. It's not really progressed very much, so just toe-up socks. It looks small, and it actually is only about 7 inches around, and my foot's around 9 inches around, but I tried it on and it's really quite stretchy, so I reckon it'll be all right. I showed it to my dad and he was like, "Oh, you're knitting booties." I'm like, no, it's for my foot and I have a big foot. So anyway, I think it'll be fine. So yeah, it looks all right. Fingers crossed. My third project is Misurina. I actually did cast this on. This is in, I'm running low on project bags. They're sort of falling apart. This one, the little tag's coming off. This is made by Fat Squirrel Fibres, and I got to go to SSK, Super Summer Knit Together, in 2015, which was so amazing. But yeah, that's like 7.5 years ago now, so I'm well overdue for a full-on knitting retreat. I have been to a couple in Australia, but even then, probably not once since definitely not once since pre-COVID, so hopefully there'll be something starting soon. Okay, so Misurina. I am really happy with how this is coming along. I think I'm just working there was a bit of cables and lace at the top, and then I'm doing the colour work now. And yeah, I think I'm about 10 or 11 rows into the colour work, and there's 40 rows of the colour work. And even though I like colour work, I think I just like plain knitting. I enjoy plain knitting more than anything, watching TV, reading a book. So even with the colour work, I'm like, right, 5 rows a day, and then I'll be done. If it's 40 rows, I'll be done with the colour work in 8 days, which is silly. Like, I knit because I like it, but I do find the, row after row after row of colour work a little bit tiring. So if I spread it out, and then, so if I do my 5 rows, and then I go, right, you can go back to bed now, and I'll pick up the Ilha dress, which is mostly round and round and round with a cable every couple of rows. So yes, anyway, I'm happy with how it's coming along. That is in Tosh Merino Light. The grey is Tosh Merino Light in the charcoal colourway, and the pink is Hedgehog Fibres, I think Damask, skinny singles, and I think Damask is colourway, but don't quote me on it. The thing that I'm a little interested in is, I know my gauge is too tight for this. I know for sure it's too tight. But, it's a top-down sweater. It's going to just sort of grow. And then when I finish the colour work, I'm meant to break off after a couple of rows, like break off for the sleeves. But if I'm not done, I'll just do some more rows. And if it's not big enough, I'll either do another sort of yoke increase around, or I might do some raglan increases. Like the Ilha sweater has a lot of yoke increases for all that decorative bit, and then it just has some raglan increases under the arm towards the end. So I'll either do that, either add some raglan increases underneath when all the colorwork's finished, or I will do like a yoked increase around. The only thing about a yoked increase around, when there's nothing to distract you from it, you really see the little blips, whereas like in Ilha, the yoke increases are all hidden inside all of these little yarn overs, or the yarn overs create the increases. So whereas if at the bottom of this, so actually even in Misurina, a lot of the increases are sort of here in the colorwork, so it's increasing as you go down. Whereas if I finished all the colorwork and then I just had this random row of increases along, I think I'll probably just do raglan increases if I need a little bit more space. And if it's big enough but the yoke's not long enough, I'll just do more rows even with no increases before splitting off the sleeves. So that's how that one's coming along. 5 rows a day. I should be finished the color. If I've done about 10 rows, which means I've got about 6 more rows of color work. So I should be finished the color work by next recording. So that's Misurina. That's one of my new cast-ons. My second new cast-on, new whip, is another Musselburgh hat. And so I've done the increases. I've done all the increases. For me, that's like, I just feel like I'm happiest when I've got all the increases done, and then it's just round and round and round. And I'm going to be doing this, this color, and then it will be this contrast color for the brim, and then this color for the other body section. So this will be the brim for each one, and it's reversible. So it'll either be this with the brim, or sorry, this main with the brim, or this with the brim. So we'll see how that goes. I just got an old Musselburgh here, and so I was measuring from the tip to the bottom here, and it was about 9 inches. So I'll knit 9 inches with this color, and then I'll switch to the band, and I'll knit the band and down like this length, however much that is. What's that, about 4 inches of this one, and then about another 9 inches of that one. So I haven't made one like that before. I've only ever done one color one, so we'll see how it goes. I don't know when that'll be finished. Probably not next week well, you never know. But I have a very busy weekend coming up, so yeah, maybe not. So they're my 4 whips, my 4 works in progress. Sorry, this yarn was Madeline Tosh Merino Light in a gradient set called Ursa Major, and that's leftovers from my So Faded pullover. And I'm knitting that on a 3.25mm needle. And Misurina was on a 3mm for the ribbing, or for the ribbing in this little bit here, and then 3.5mm for the rest. And I don't go up for the color work. That's it for my works in progress. For my plans coming up, I already mentioned them last week, but sometimes I just ditch plans. So I still want to do them. I still want to do Ranunculus with this mohair silk held double. I still want to make another Ilha dress out of this Life in the Long Grass, and I feel pretty good about being able to do that because I've got about half a skein. I've got 1.5 skeins left, and I'm more than halfway down the body, so I feel pretty good that 3 skeins of this is going to be enough for another Ilha. And then I also have I have plans to make another ebb dress. So the ebb dress is by Olga Buraya-Kefelian, and I've made 2 of them before, and it's like a color blocking dress, and it's meant to have 7 colors, and the pattern is designed to use loft, and it's designed to be mild. So you use sort of 2 of one color, and then you switch to 2 of the next, and then you sort of overlap. So it's sort of got a bit of a fade effect. And I've made it before in stripes, and I've made it sort of in a solid color with the banding. I'll put a couple of those pictures of my old ones up here, or my previous ones. And I've got this yarn from Dingo Dyeworks, and she's not dyeing anymore, unfortunately, but I got it on D-Stash. So it's kind of like a purchase acquisition but it's from a while ago, but it sort of comes into my plans. So it's actually not from that long ago, it's from a few months ago. So it's these colours here, and what I'm thinking, because the Abdress needs 7 colours, so I really like how these 3 look together, and I thought, well, maybe if I can get some more, like, to sort of make it a bit of a gradient, sort of something in between these colours, I might be able to get like 3 more colours that will sort of blend well. I think one of mine I even did with 6 colours, and I just made each stripe a little bit longer. So even if I get 2 more colours, and I'll talk about that sort of towards the end. I actually may as well mention it now. So I'm teaching some knitting classes on Sunday, and so it means I'm going to be at my local yarn shop. And they've just started carrying their own line of yarns, and they look amazing, and they're dyed by a lady who works there. And so I'm so excited to go into the shop to have a look at the yarn. It seems sort of similar, like just looking online, it seems sort of similar to this kind of yarn where it doesn't have a very, it doesn't look like it has a very tight twist, but it is applied yarn. So I'm going to take these balls in with me and see if the yarn sort of seems similar enough. And if so, if I can get 2 or 3 skeins to match in with that. Either way, I'm either going to buy some yarn there on Sunday because they look so pretty, or it's been pretty, it might, like a lot of the popular colours have sold out. So even if I don't get any yarn on Sunday, I might do like an order, a pre-order, yeah, where you say, can you dye this up for me, please? And then that's meant to come in sort of 2 or 3 weeks. I only teach once a month, so I'd probably just wait. Like if I don't get it on this Sunday, it'll be another month before I show it. I mean, I guess they could ship it, but just, you know, I'll just wait till I go in next. It's not like I don't have enough yarn to knit, and I've got plenty of stuff to knit on. But yeah, I'll be really excited to see, hopefully, if I've got something that that will work in with that. It will be hard if it's not in stock. I find it quite hard to go from pictures to match up, but I'll at least be able to see if the yarn itself is similar in base, because if the base is really quite different, or much heavier or much lighter, or just a different look, then I probably wouldn't do it, because I just don't think it would look great. If I'm going to blend yarns in projects, I generally like, unless there's something really different, like I want this mohair against this smooth yarn or something, and the difference is intentional, otherwise I'd like them to be as sort of close in sort of yarn structure as possible if I'm going to use them in a project. So like this here, this is 2 different, this is Hedgehog fibres, and this is Tosh Merino Light, but they're both single ply fingering weight yarns, roughly the same amount of yardage for the same weight. So I'm comfortable using those together because it's pretty much the same yarn. So that's kind of my plans as well for an Abdress. So next thing is faux from the vault. So this is the dress that I'm wearing now. I'll stand back so you can see it. So it's roughly just a little bit above, I'm standing on my tippy toe, so it's bringing it up. It's roughly knee length, and it's A-line. It's about the 23 inches from under the arms. And like you can see, it's not sticking to my butt. So I definitely like ease around the hips there. Yeah, so this is the Celosias pullover by Jennifer Steingass. And it is, I used Madeleine Tosh Sport in the winter wheat colorway, and this is Madeleine Tosh MCN Sport in the colorway Stovepipe. The blue was left over from a jumper that I made my husband. So it just, and these colors actually are my school colors, funnily enough, navy with a bit of gold. Anyway, I really like these 2 together. The changes that I made, so I don't know if you can see, but the neckline there is a ribbed neckline, and so the Celosias dress doesn't have a ribbed neckline, and it's just sort of like a rolled neckline. And even though the rolling, once you block it, the rolling sort of evens out, I do quite like a ribbed neckline. And Jennifer had another pattern, roughly the same gauge, called Forestland. And that one has a ribbed neckline. And I bought that pattern too. Haven't made that one yet, but I have that pattern. So I just swapped them out. I just used the numbers and the neckline for Forestland, and then followed the rest for Celosias, and then yeah, just made it short sleeves. And it's actually quite warm, so it's a sport weight. The pattern's actually written for a DK weight, but I find Myrtle and Tosh sport is quite a heavy sport. It's much closer to a DK, certainly gauge and yardage and everything. So anyway, it's one of my standard, you know, wear to school, very comfy dresses. As for purchases, I bought some elastic for my pajama pants. That's it. I actually might even have this elastic, but I happened to be at the shops right near Spotlight, and I thought, I don't know if I haven't sewn in a couple of years. I don't know what elastic I have. I could have 10 meters of this, I have no idea. But I thought, I will be so annoyed at myself if I go to sew and I was right outside Spotlight and didn't go in and get it. So I know I need this for the pajama pants. It's a really wide elastic, 1.5 inches, I think. So anyway, so I got the elastic for the pajama pants. Now, so that brings me to sewing. I will put a picture up here. I haven't actually sewed yet, but I've done sewing adjacent stuff. So I was going to trace out the pattern, but I just, you know, I was like, just cut it out, Natasha. Like, it's, you know, the size 0 was a little bit too small. Just cut out the size 2. It's pajama shorts, so the pieces aren't even that big. So I thought if the 2 ends up being a little bit small and next time I want to make a 4, then I'll just print off the pieces again and cut out a 4. So it's no big deal. So I will put a picture up there of I cut out the pattern and I also cut out the pieces. So that's, you know, that counts. And maybe I'll get to some sewing this weekend, maybe on Saturday if I have time, but not sure, busy weekend. The other thing that I did was I picked up these, this is the shop outside Spotlight. I picked up my pants. I just wanted to show you, because obviously I didn't do this, but if anyone's interested in mending, they fixed the belt loop. So that's what they did. They put like a little patch on the back of it and then, you know, sort of sewed over it. That was $23 to fix that. I probably could have done that, but anyway, I'm glad I didn't have to do it. The other thing that they did, which I'm not super happy about, but I guess this fabric is quite stretchy. I thought they would have put a patch on this. They didn't put a patch on this rip. They just folded it over and then sort of sewed it up. So you can sort of see here, they just sort of, you can see there's like a seam there where there shouldn't be a seam, and inside the pocket there's a seam there. So they just folded it over and whizzed it across the overlocker and then sewed it. But I can see this is already starting, because you know when you cut the overlocker thread, it's already starting to come undone. So I'm going to, like, if I put that through the wash, that's just going to fall apart. So I am going to go over that a little bit. I mean, I'm glad they did it, but each bit was $22 or $23. It was $45 to fix these. So, and I think the pants were like $80. So I was like, oh. Anyway, but I can't get that. I can't buy them again, right? Because they're from like 1.5 years ago, and I really like them. But I definitely want them to last, and I want this repair to last. And it doesn't, the way it looks, it doesn't look like it's going to last. So I'll probably just hand sew some of that overlocking thread down so it doesn't, you know, peel away and then start fraying further. Anyway, I'm glad I've got them back, and once it gets cooler, I can start wearing them again. I do really like them. So that's my my sewing that I didn't do. Anyway, so that's it for the sewing and the crafting component. I'll just do a little bit of personal stuff. So if you're signing off now, if you could like and subscribe, that would be really nice. It's been really nice to see that people are watching the videos and seem to be enjoying them. So yeah, I hope so. Personal stuff. So it's Thursday now. I recorded last Thursday. On Thursday night we play, because I know a lot of crafters are also play games. So I'll share a little bit about our gameplay. I play 500 with my husband with another couple. And during COVID, we started playing online with this app called Trickster. So I'll just put a little picture of the app up there. And it's so good because we just each have it on our phone or our iPad. it shuffles, like, you know, it's sort of like a random generator. It shuffles the cards and deals them up to everyone, and you can see your cards and you can see when everyone plays a card. So it's a game where you play in partners. It's very similar to euchre. And what we do is we do a Zoom with our friends. So they're in their house and we're in our house, and I play partners with my friend, and my husband plays partners with her husband. And we have a Zoom going, so we chat across the Zoom. Now, we started this during COVID when we couldn't go to each other's houses. Now we can go to each other's houses, but you know, we play on Thursday night, or you know, I'm in my jammies. Sometimes the kids need something. I can, you know, shoot off an email if I need to, or make myself a cup of tea, or just. So we still do it in our own homes, and they live, like, no joke, a 5-minute walk away. But it's just, I don't know, it's easy and we're comfortable, and it's fun, and it means nobody has to go anywhere or get anything, and I'm still available for the kids as well. I mean, I can take it to the toilet, you know, like, I mean, you know, it's just an app on my phone. So if I need to go to the bathroom, it's not like play has to stop while I go make a cup of tea, or while I go to the loo or whatever. So yeah, we did that on Thursday night. Friday's work. Saturday, I did parkrun in the morning, and then I went for a bushwalk with my friend. So you can see our like where we live, it's a really bushy area. It's so pretty. And this bushwalk that we went down to the river, it's really lovely. And then went to the markets, and I popped in and saw my dad. Saturday night was a long one because I had to pick up Alex from KFC at midnight, and that's hard. Like, I don't normally stay up much past 10 if, you know, on a good night. Anyway, so I stayed up till midnight, and then of course I picked her up, and she's on her L's, so she drove home, and there was this point where she had to go across, had to turn right, and for us that's crossing traffic. So because we drive on the left side of the road, so she got a green light but not a green right arrow, and there was another car coming, and she was gonna go, and I was like, stop. So anyway, like a little mini heart attack. And then we get home, and it's, you know, 1:45 in the morning, but I'm like on adrenaline. So it was pretty late by the time I finally got to sleep. So I was pretty exhausted Sunday. So on Sunday, I went to church with my mum in the morning, and then in the afternoon, my elder daughter and her boyfriend came with me to visit my dad in his aged care facility. And we played 500 there, but with actual cards. And we played Sequence, which is another really good game. Just pretty easy. You can just play a game in like 10 minutes. It doesn't take very long. So that was Sunday. Monday and Tuesday were work. Oh, on Tuesday night, I didn't go, but my husband took 2 of our kids, the elder daughter Mia and the younger son Zach, to the Backseat Lovers concert. I don't know how big they are in the US, but they're really not huge here, so it was quite a small venue, only a few hundred people, and I think they had a great time, and I'm really happy for them. I know some of their songs because I listen to the kids sing them, but like for me, going out Tuesday night during the week to a concert, I would struggle the next day. But speaking of concerts, I have a lot coming up. So tonight's Thursday night, so we'll definitely have cards again tonight. But Friday night, my husband and I are going to see Everclear. And then Saturday night, we're going to see a singer named Eric Bibb, and I'm really looking forward to those. But 2 concerts in 2 nights, like Friday night and Saturday night, that's a lot for me, but I am really looking forward to it. But then Sunday is teaching all day at the yarn shop, so that's going to be a really busy weekend. So I don't know how much knitting I'm going to get done, but we'll see how we go. I don't even know if I'll get up for parkrun on Saturday morning, but we'll see. You know, I mean, it's a good way to start. It's a good way to start the day. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah. Well, I was going to say yesterday was my day off, and normally I was going to sew, but then my son had to be taken to baseball tryouts, and then my daughter had to be picked up from KFC, and so I didn't get to sew. But that's okay, because I took my knitting with me, and I got a pedicure. That's one of the things that I started doing when I was pregnant, and I couldn't reach my toes, and that's one thing that I've kept ever since. Every month or so I get a pedicure, and it's like a little something nice for me, and I really enjoy it. I don't get manicures there because I always find they cut my like cuticles and I end up bleeding and it really hurts. So I did my own manicure. It's not too bad. I like to do these because if I do tutorial videos, I just, you know, I like to have, you know, my nails not looking too bad. And if you like that color, because that for me, that's like the perfect neutral. It's OP Put It In Neutral, which I really love because I like to have some polish on my nails, but not to look like polish, so that if it chips a little bit, you can't really tell. So yeah, OP Put It In Neutral. It's a really good color. That's it. That's it there. It's really nice. I think that's it. Yeah, so it's going to be a big weekend, and I will hopefully have some new yarn to show you from Skein Sisters next week. All right, this is a bit of a long video. Might have to do a bit of editing. And at the end, I'm just going to put a little video of my dog Gus. I think there was a car siren going off and he was very unhappy about it and he started howling. So it's just a little tiny clip at the end. All right, yeah, so if you like this video, if you can like and subscribe, and hope to see you next week. Thanks, bye.